My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
I'm Diana Brandl. Today's leadership quote comes from Trish Bertuzzi. Lean in, speak out, have a voice in your organization, and never use the word sorry.
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
Hi, it's episode 47.
Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. I'm excited to share today's episode with you, but first just wanted to remind you to join our online communities at facebook.leaderassistant.com and slack.leaderassistant.com. Also, I am publishing a book in 2020 called The Leader Assistant. So join my email list at leaderassistant.com/sign up to make sure you get updates on the book. All right, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Burrows, and I'm here with my friend Diana Brandl. Diana, how are you?
I'm good. Hi. Thank you for having me, Jeremy.
Yeah, and where are you at in the world right now?
I'm in Berlin, in my home city. Just got back from New York City, actually. I took my mom on a 3-day trip to New York, so still a bit jet-lagged, but all back now in Berlin, and very looking forward to this podcast.
Awesome. So let's rewind a little bit and talk about your very first job and maybe what skills you learned in that first role that you still use today.
So my really, really first job when I was still actually in high school was I was working with small children when they got into school and they learned English. So I was helping to teach them English. I gave them basically extra lessons in English. So they came to my house, I sat together with them, and we learned English because my major studies in school were English and French. So I loved languages from the beginning on, and I just wanted to help little kids to get better with English language skills. So this is so funny because now, since I'm a trainer now, I never thought about that I would all come back and I would actually now work with other assistants. So it all started a little bit in the fact that I really loved working with people. In that case, it was kids, and help them to become better in whatever they are doing at the moment. So in this case, it was English.
So when did you become an assistant and why?
I finished high school in 1998, and then I really wanted to go out in the world. So, like, basically everyone wants to travel. So I decided to become an au pair and go to the U.S. And when I was there, I actually knew that I really wanted to work in an office environment. So from the U.S., I really did my preparations to see what I wanted to become. And in Germany, we really have these classical assistant schools, or at that time, secretary schools, where you get trained as a secretary. It was almost 3 years. So once I got back from the U.S., I went to the school, I got my diploma, and I had my first job being a management assistant to a Hungarian boss, who I also helped to learn German, by the way. It was quite funny. And it was actually a pharmaceutical business. And this was in, 2002, I would say. 2002, when my career started.
So what do you love about the role of an assistant?
I really enjoy making an impact or having an impact. And of course, every role is a bit different. Every structures are a bit different in organizations. It all depends on the boss. If you have a supportive boss, and I was lucky enough to always have very supportive bosses who really gave me a lot of freedom to actually deep dive into the topics I really wanted to jump in. So I was never the one who was just stuck with admin and organization stuff. I really grabbed the opportunities and I asked for it. I was always quite vocal about it. And this is what I really enjoyed, having an impact, being there, sitting around the table with so many people who want to have an organization grow and who want to have an impact, who wants to make customers more happy and satisfied. And I always wanted to give this opportunity also to my role to be part of this impact, to be part of a growth, part of strategies and projects. And this is what I really love, because as we all know, we have so much influence in our roles. We see the emails that are coming in. We see the projects that are coming in. So it is so easy to say, hey, I want to be involved in that project. I want to talk to my manager about it. Maybe I get involved in that. Maybe I get the resource to help and work on such an important project. And that's what I did from day one. And that's what I also tried to really work on and continue my career, just to be ready for any open project that there's out there for me.
So what would you say to an assistant that maybe they have tried that and they've tried to say, hey, can I be involved in that project, or can I help? And they've kind of stepped up and tried to take on more, but have been met with resistance from their executives, like, oh no, that's, stay in your lane, and that's not how would you encourage assistants in that situation?
Yeah, I know. It's always hard in the beginning. And because, of course, we all know that the moment you're jumping on a project, there's still the other daily business you need to handle. And it's quite a challenge sometimes. So whenever I was ready for such a project, I really had a little mini white paper ready from my boss to really show, hey, these are the strengths I would love to bring into the projects. I think I'm ready for this. And I've thought about the other things that are on my table. I have a few solutions. We can work on that. I can delegate a few things here. I can help get some other things done in this way. So be prepared for other solutions, because of course your manager will ask for you, okay, sounds good, like you want to jump in this project, but who's going to do my travel expenses and who's going to do that? Because the moment when the managers really see that you want to fly away a little bit, they get scared as well, because they get scared that their stuff will not be done properly. So have a plan ready, and always show the strengths you want to bring to the table and you want to bring into such a project, and have everything else covered. Talk to your workers, talk to your assistant colleagues, how you can manage to be ready for such a project, because it's going to take time. It's going to mean that you have to walk an extra mile. It's going to mean some extra hours. So, of course, this is also that comes with such a freedom of being ready for such projects.
That's great. So what was the biggest mistake you made as an assistant, and what did you learn from it?
I think the fact that I was, especially in my junior years, when I was not confident enough to speak up, I really accepted a lot of situations what I probably wouldn't accept nowadays. I had a lot of generation conflicts with other assistants, because I was the one young, dynamic coming in, bringing new knowledge into the organizations, speaking a few languages, coming from abroad, being in the U.S. as an au pair, bringing a totally new view on the industry. So I had a lot of fights with senior assistants who were afraid of the dynamic that comes into the role, who were afraid of the change that might come. And the first years I really didn't speak up, and I just let it happen. And I tried to change myself, which was wrong, obviously. So I tried to adapt more to them, instead of allowing them to adapt more to my style as well. And I think this is something I would definitely encourage others to really face such a situation and to speak up, involve the managers. I always had the view of not involving my manager, because I wanted to handle everything myself. I didn't want to get him or her involved with all these tiny things, tiny issues. But I knew after a while that a few things you just need to address to your manager and speak up and be ready also for a confrontation, because nobody likes this. Everyone likes to be in harmony when it comes to work. Everyone likes to work together in a very positive way and friendly way. But sometimes there are these kind of critical situations, and I would definitely speak up now much, much earlier, and also involve HR people if I have the feeling that I'm mobbed or really bullied in a way that it shouldn't happen, actually, in an environment, especially when you work on a C-level, basis. Yeah.
So what's something we could do to help executives and HR departments and recruiters and others in organizations value assistance?
Well, I think it's always the storytelling that sometimes needs to be a little more stronger. Of course, we all encourage through our seminars and workshops and a lot of material to read. We encourage assistants to become more bold and become more louder and really be ready for some personal branding. And this needs to start with their own managers and with the HR people. Sometimes when I come to companies where I teach, I always ask them about the job descriptions, and so many of them, they don't have one. So if there's no job description in place, how can HR people actually know what the assistant is doing and how visible the assistant needs to be? So that's why we all should have a job description ready, and we should really campaign for such a job description and really go through every single detail, because the assistant is the one who can basically know exactly what should be on the job description. Not an HR person should be ready to write a job description, because it usually doesn't fit well. So the moment you have a job description, if you don't have one, start writing it and go to your manager, go to HR and walk them through your job description. Walk them through the steps. Tell them why you're proud of your role. Tell them the impact you have and why you are such an important influencer as a strategic business partner, and not only as the admin or the clerk around the corner, because there's so much more that awaits you. And I always love to work with mind maps. So I always encourage assistants in my seminars to actually write their job description as a mind map, because visualization is always interesting. People will be more attentive, and you have a chance to do some public speaking in front of your manager in HR the moment you're stepping up and you say, hey, let me walk you through this mind map. And this is me, that's my profile, and that's the portfolio I'm bringing in. So are you aware of that job description actually? Is it the deal we actually took a few years ago when we started working together? And so you can really, really show what happened maybe to your role, how much you grew, and really show them the value, what's behind this important position.
That's great. So what's maybe something you would tell someone who's considering becoming an assistant?
I would definitely say it's a perfect timing to do that, because with technology and digitization around the corner affecting this industry, it is the right momentum to step into this profession, because you can bring in so many talents. You can bring in those talents that are needed, especially when we are facing the digitization. A lot of soft skills, a lot of skills where you show the human factor, where you show that you are very important as a leader in your role as well, because we are leaders as assistants, as we make so many decisions on our own, and we are the ones who really influence our managers in certain ways, how they can really make or perform their job in a better way. So I actually had the other day, I had a message over LinkedIn from a young German boy. He was quite young, and I was really, really fascinated because he's really interested in becoming an assistant. He wants to become a trained assistant. So I'm having a call with him after I return from my vacation. So it would be interesting to give you some feedback on that, Jeremy, as well, because I found it so fascinating that it's also a man, and that he's ready for this industry. So I would definitely say get prepared, be ready for this profession, be a techie, be ready for technology, know what's happening out there, be a trendsetter, be a trend scout, be international, have your language skills ready, and all the other skills that are bases which are needed for this role. Being an organizational expert, being an office hero, and of course know your worth and know your voice, and also be ready to be called an important player in this organization.
That's awesome. So on the technology realm, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence and what assistants should do to prepare for the future of work?
Well, I love it. I love it really, and I wouldn't know what I would do with my Siri. I mean, I work with Siri all the time. As a solopreneur, It is such an important and effective little helper for me. And not only Siri, there are so many other great products out there. The digital assistant on one hand, and of course all the other robotics that are coming more and more into the organizations. As a lot of experts of the industry say, and I'm one of them, as I truly really want to jump in and say, of course, they will help us to shape the new way of working as an assistant. They will help us to free up our time. They will help us to get ready for so many other important projects where we can show our leadership style, where we can show the value we have, the worth we have, and all the other important elements we're bringing to the table. So whenever there's an opportunity to work with a great software, with a digital assistant that frees up your time, that frees up the time of your coworkers, like when Alexa is ready to book meeting rooms, when Alexa is ready to do travels, of course we are lucky to delegate this. Finally, we are in a position to delegate work because of the technology and AI coming into our workplace. And this is awesome. This is really awesome. And of course, there are a lot of people afraid of it, especially here in Europe. We have the GDPR, which is quite strict. So you wouldn't see too many Alexas in offices here. But I've met a few assistants who actually work with them. And their bosses are younger. They are very innovative. They are ready to tackle the challenges of the future. And they really want to work with these devices, and they want their assistants to work with these devices, because the millennial managers, they want their assistants in different projects. They want them to take the lead. They want them as people who come back with feedback, with recommendations, how to improve processes in an organization. And this is why we need a free agenda for ourselves to really work strategically in an operational way as well. Because otherwise we're stuck with all the other admin and organizational tasks, which we love, of course. That's why we are assistants, but they keep us busy. We are constantly interrupted by things when we're working with coworkers and various managers. And so here's AI giving us the freedom to finally show what else is waiting in the profile of an assistant. And it's time to show the portfolio and to really upskill here and there and bring the value to the table. And that's thankfully available now because of AI and technology.
Love it. Couldn't have put it better myself.
I know. You're a great supporter too. And Jane AI is a great product. I've been introducing it a lot in my seminars, and that's the future. That's the future.
Yeah. So let's go back to your story a little bit. What companies did you work for in your whole EA career, and how long were you in EA?
Well, I started, as I said, in 2002, and I basically started my new life as a trainer and speaker almost 2 years ago. Until then, I was a full-time executive assistant. And my career started in the pharmaceutical business, and then I moved to a big global player, Sony, when I moved to Berlin. I was also working at a mid-sized company where I had a lot of great opportunities to have an impact in the organization, because I was also leading the internal communications department at that time. I was writing speeches for the executive. So it's not always about the big companies with a big name. Sometimes you have wonderful opportunities working in smaller companies, because all of a sudden you have definitely more freedom to explore new skills and to dive into new projects, which I greatly appreciated and really enjoyed myself. And before I started my own business, I had the opportunity to work in a startup business. It is an online optician, very famous brand in Europe. So they're selling glasses and sunglasses online. It was called Mr. Specs. Great company. I really enjoyed working with them, and because they prepared me for the new way of working, and they prepared me for the new way of the executive out there. All of a sudden they were younger. All of a sudden they had different expectations in terms of working with an assistant. All of a sudden I was a supervisor. I had 3 office managers working for me, reporting to me. And so I really understood the way they want me to lead. And it was absolutely a lot of work, a lot of new learning, but I feel very blessed that I had the opportunity to really finish, how should I say it, my career before starting as an entrepreneur, working with these guys, because they really showed me the new way of working and how important digitization is, how important digital leadership is, and how important, Industry 4.0 is.
So why did you decide to leave and start your own business?
It was never a long-term plan. It's not that I have it written somewhere that I thought, okay, by the year 2017, Diana will be ready to be on her own. It's just started all of a sudden. I've always loved writing, contributed a lot of articles to various magazines in Germany and abroad. And one time I've been asked to actually speak at a conference, which was in Berlin at that time, to fill in. One of the speakers were sick, so I was asked if I would be ready to speak there. It was about networking. I remember that. Like, Diana, you're a great networker. You're active on social media, so it's your topic, right? And at that time it was in English, and I was really not prepared for it, but I said yes. And I felt I should do this, and just raised my hand and grabbed the opportunity. And this is how it all started. I gave my first speech, and then I went back to my full-time position at Mr. Spex. Didn't have any plans on working on my own, but the feedbacks were great. I've been approached more and more. I had to decline a few things because I was a full-time EA, and then after another decline, I said to my husband, okay, why not trying that out, actually? Why not? What should I lose? I try it out, and if it's not working, I go back on my full-time EA position. I loved it all the way. I mean, I've been doing that for so many years. It's not that I have no regrets of going back. And of course, it was a family decision, and he said, of course you do that. And I know you love to work with people, you love to share your knowledge, you're a good ambassador. So he was the one encouraging me to do that massively. And I'm forever grateful for that, and forever grateful for these clients who brought me on stage in those early moments. And so that's how it all started. And all of a sudden I was not only writing, I was speaking about the topics which are so close to my heart.
That's awesome. So since you're the expert at networking, how important is it to be part of a community of assistants?
It is super important. I always say, hey, there's so much information out there, and it's all for free. And by the way, we network with our peers. We get to know each other. As an assistant in Germany, I've always been interested what assistants in the US are doing, what assistants in France are doing, or in the UK. I wanted to see the differences. I wanted to see the things that we have in common. And this is what I always like to transport in my talks, that it's so valuable when you sign up for these groups, when you sign up for forums, blogs, where you have the opportunity to network and to share knowledge. That's the best you can do. And once you have a great network, I always say you don't need Google anymore. You know who to call, you know who to reach out. When you need to make a table reservation at the best steakhouse in Boston, I'm sure you know the assistant who you're going to reach out to, because she might have a good connection to this place and is even able to organize you a wonderful table for your manager. And that's the way we all should help each other. And that's why I also came up with the initiative We Are on This Together, because I strongly believe that in our industry, in our community, we should step up for each other, help each other, be there for each other, and applause for each other, and be proud of each other, and put the positivity more in front of our work. And that's really important. And that's the way you network, and that's the way you build bridges, because the network you are generating is helping your organization, is helping your manager. And that's also something I learned from my millennial managers back at the startup I mentioned before. In the interview process, they were the one asking me about the network I'm bringing in. So that's the way they think, and that's why they supported my networking activities so much. I remember when I got my contract, they had a side letter for me granting me the membership of the European Management Assistance Organization, IMA. They said, Diana, we love that you are active there. We love that you promote your profession. We see that you've been a member for many years, so it is important for you. And the network you are generating there and the contacts, they might be also useful for us. So we are happy to take over the fees for the organization for a year. We're going to send you on trainings, we're going to send you out, and we're going to cover the costs, because that's how we keep you motivated. And I really, really enjoyed that.
Wow, that's some amazing support from an organization, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I've never had that before. I mean, I've been supported before a lot, but I had to fight for it. But this was the only organization who came actively and said, hey, look here, we saw that on your profile. We know that you've been involved, you've been a regional chair, you do a lot for this profession, and we want to be part of that. And we want you to bring the knowledge you're gaining through these conferences. We want them to bring back. You have 3 office managers reporting to you, so make them ready for their next step as well.
So what's one book or resource that you would recommend to all assistants?
Well, there are too many out there. Of course, finding the groups on social media are absolutely amazing. It is quite hard to name all of them. I still love to read a lot of books. I love to have a book in my hand, although I'm a digital girl. And in terms of networking, one of the books I really love and which helped me a lot was the one from Laura Schwartz, Eat, Drink, and Succeed. Laura Schwartz, the former director events from the Clinton administration at the White House. I had the honor of meeting her a few times, and she's an absolutely networking hero for me. And I learned a lot of things from her. I've attended networking events together with her. I saw her how she's networking. I saw her how she introduced me to people. And I really picked up a lot of great initiatives from her. So this is a book I definitely would recommend. I also enjoyed the book from Peggy Grande. You recently also interviewed her for the podcast series. Mm-hmm. When she basically spoke about her experience working for former President Reagan. Incredible book. I read a few years ago. So this is something I really adore. Reading stuff from people who've been in the industry, who've been doing our jobs, because they have been there. They have been there on the basis. They know the work behind, and they know how tough it can be. And so I'd love to hear from these people. Also, former assistant of Nelson Mandela, Zelda Lagrange, incredible woman. I'm going to see her in November in Atlanta. And so this is something I definitely would recommend for assistant out there. And of course, all these groups on social media, there are a bunch of them. Executive Secretary magazine is a great one. I absolutely adore Lucy Brazier and her work. She's the one who believed in me from day one, putting me on stage. And very excited to see you speaking next year in London, by the way, Jeremy. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. I've never been to London, so it'll be fun.
Absolutely.
So if you could snap your fingers and instantly give all assistants more of something, what would it be?
A louder voice, a louder voice. And sometimes they have the voice, but they just forget about it because they're always in their hamster wheels. They're so busy performing the job and being good at their jobs and being ready for their managers, being always there for the co-workers, preparing the stage for them. But sometimes they forget to actually prepare the stage for themselves, because we need a stage as well, and we have a stage. We just need to take this first step on stage. And sometimes it's hard, because all these years we've been trained to be in the background. All these years we have been trained to serve from the second or the third row. But now with digitization, with AI coming, in the whole digital workplace. Everything is changing. The new managers are ready for us. They are ready for vocal and bold assistants. They want really true business partners next to them. So that's why sometimes this voice, which has been in us all the time, needs to get a little louder. So don't sit in a meeting just writing the minutes. Have a voice. Give your opinion. Share experiences. Share your knowledge. And even if there will be always some managers and executives staring at you, so why is she saying that? Or why is he saying that? She should be writing the minutes. He should be writing the minutes. No, start being more proactive in this field. And it is really, really crucial that we really discover our voice. And public speaking becomes one of the most important skills in the future for assistants. So don't be just there being the minute writer. Be the host. Be the facilitator. Speak up and offer your executive as well. Like, hey, can I be the host today? Can I go through the agenda? Can I take this task away from you, maybe? And here you go again. Another opportunity to free up a little bit of the time of your manager, because what's the greatest gift we can give our managers? It's time. So that's why we are there, and that's why we should really focus on these elements where we can actually help them in a more strategic and operational manner.
That's great, Diana. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and taking time out of your day to be on the show. I wanted to wrap things up, and why don't you tell us how we can support you and where we can find you online?
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I appreciate the time you took to have me on the podcast. And you find me on social media as a digital girl. You find me on Twitter. You find me on LinkedIn. I would love to invite you to join my blog, the Socialista projects. Socialista, some people ask me, so where's the name coming from? And I always say I'm a very social person, a good connector, a Socialista, building bridges, bringing people together. That's really one of my main duties out there, and I just love that. So the Socialista Project is my blog. I would love to have you there. We have readers around the world, assistants from around the world. And if you would like to be involved in the We Are in This Together initiative, of course, I would love to have you reach out to me, because I love to have supporters. I love to have people who like to share their stories or have maybe a inspiring quote where they would love to be involved that actually shows that you are a great supporter of the admin industry, that you are a supporter of the community, and maybe you have a story to share with us. I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely share all that information in the show notes, and so people can find you. To wrap things up, I would love to have you use a little bit of German for our listeners. Maybe say something like, thanks for listening to the Leader Assistant podcast in German.
Of course, I would love to do that. Vielen lieben Dank, dass ihr dem Leader Assistant Podcast heute zugehört habt.
Nice.
That's it.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can say it in probably 5 other languages too, right?
Well, I can. Yeah, maybe. Well, not that fluent. But I used to learn a lot of languages. But of course, we all talk English. It makes it so much easier. But I used to learn also Latin and Spanish and French in school. So my parents forced me into the languages. But I'm quite happy about it because it helps me when I travel, of course.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk soon, and appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, and continue your absolutely amazing work.
Thank you, Diana, for being on the show. It was a great conversation. Check out the show notes at leaderassistant.com/47, and I look forward to talking with you next week.
Please review on Apple Podcasts. GoBulls.com